radiation that dash during the decay of radioactive atomic nuclei is known as gamma radiation. Which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? When they say conforms to the conventions of standard English, that's what they're asking, those conventions, those rules that we have for the English language. And yes, A is right. So the radiation that occurs during the decay of radioactive atomic nuclei is known as gamma radiation. And the reason why B, C, or D don't work is that those are only for plural subjects, and radiation is a subject in the sentence, but radiation is a singular subject. So occurs is the only verb that works. Here, just that. Okay, so next question. So the Mission 66 initiative, which was approved by Congress in 1956, represented a major investment in the infrastructure of overburdened National Dash. It prioritized physical improvements to the park's roads, utilities, employee housing, and visitor facilities, while also establishing educational programming for the public. And once again, which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the convention of standard English? If anyone would like to answer in the chat, go ahead. And the answer is actually C. So the reason why is, this is a bit more of a challenging question. So the reason why is that the mission, if we look to the left and we look to the right, and that's a very important way to figure out how the sentence flows and what punctuation or if any is needed. So let's look to the left, all of the words that come before the dash. The Mission 66 initiative, which was approved by Congress in 1956, represented a major investment in the infrastructure of overburdened national parks. We'll include the word there just so that we can see how it looks like. So that's an independent clause because when you say it out loud, you can add a period there and the sentence still makes sense. So that's an independent clause. Now, if we look to the right of our dash, it prioritized physical improvements to the park's roads, utilities, employee housing, and visitor facilities, while also establishing educational programming for the public. So if we take a look to the right as well, we can put a period at the end, and if we cut off that part of the sentence, it still makes sense as a sentence by itself. So that's also an independent clause. So one grammatical rule, I'm about to introduce this to you, is that you need punctuation for two independent clauses and trying to connect them. So A and B don't have any punctuation in them since they don't have a period, a comma, semicolon, dash, anything like that. So C and D are the only options that we have, but we can only separate two independent clauses with a period, a semicolon, or a and something, or something, a comma and something that's known as fanboys. And those are essentially connectors that you can use between sentences. And I can go over fanboys if anyone has any questions about what fanboys is. So for that reason, C is correct, since that is the only one that has a semicolon in it.
Okay, so my question is, in the previous question we were treating, why is it that we are not using a conjunction?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Let me turn on my volume.
Yeah, I'm saying that in the previous question we tackled, why is the conjunction end not being used and we are using the semicolon rather?
So you're asking why the answer choice is an A?
Yes, as in why isn't the conjunction being used? Because from the little one, you can also use conjunctions to join two independent clauses.
You can use conjunctions to join two independent clauses, but only if there is a comma with that conjunction. Otherwise, it does not work.
All right.
That is one of the
Thank you.
grammatical rules of the language. No problem. So yeah, that's the rule I'm introducing, which is if there are two independent clauses, you can only join them together with a semicolon, a period, or a conjunction with a comma. So let's move on to the next question. So obviously, A recent study tracked the number of bee species present in 27 New York apple orchards over a 10-year period. Dash found that when wild growth near an orchard was cleared, the number of different bee species visiting the orchard decreased. Which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? Once again, if anyone would like to answer, believe is the answer choice in the chat, go ahead. Okay, so the answer is actually C. Now that may sound confusing, but let me explain why the rest of the answer choices are wrong. So the actual answer choice is C. Entomologist Heather Grab, with no punctuation. So the reason why A is wrong is that in order for any sort of text, in order for a colon to be used properly, grammatically correctly in the English language, the words that are left, or the sentence you could say that is left to the colon, needs to be an independent clause. But entomologist Heather Grab is not an independent clause, since if you put a period after entomologist Heather Grab, it does not make sense just as itself. So A does not work. As for B, the two commas create a non-essential clause. So if we remove that Heather Grab and we just put entomologist in, which is not surrounded by double commas, it will sound like this. Entomologist found that when wild growth near an orchard was cleared. That does not make grammatical sense. As for D, you can also apply the same reasoning. Entomologist Heather Grab, and that comma creates another double comma with the comma after cleared. So that's deleting an essential piece of information in the sentence, and the sentence does not make any sense without it. If we were to delete that, it would be entomologist Heather Grab, the number of different bee species. That does not flow properly. It seems like there's something missing, so it's not grammatically correct. Titles before names cannot have punctuation. In this case, entomologist is the title. So, and the name is obviously Heather Grab. However, if entomologist came after Heather Grab, if the title comes after the name, then it's non-essential and could be deleted. But if it comes before the name, then it cannot be. So that's another rule you need to follow. So the correct answer is C, no punctuation. So this will be our final question for conventions, and then we'll move on to craft structure.
Quick
Despite
question,
being
Ashwin,
cheap,
quick
versatile.
question. I have a quick question, Ashwin. You keep using this term independent clause. Could you further define what an independent clause is for those of us who might not know?
Okay.
And give us an
sure
example.
thing.
And could you type it in the chat, please?
Oh yeah, sure. Go. It's essentially an independent clause is a group of words that contains a subject and verb that is essentially can be expressed as a complete sentence or a complete. We'll get to the answer choice for this question later, but yeah, that's what independent clause means. And an example of an independent clause is I took my dog for a walk. That's a very simple sentence. So the subject in that sentence would be dog, the verb would be walk. And that can be expressed as a complete sentence or a complete thought. It makes logical sense. So that's an example of an independent clause. Okay, so moving on back to the slideshow, we have this question. Despite being cheap, versatile, and easy to produce, comma, dash, they are made from non-renewable petroleum and most do not biodegrade in landfills. Nice, nice. Yes, D is correct. So, I will explain why A, B, and C are wrong. So, what is actually coming before the dash is something that's known as a modifier, right? That phrase essentially modifies the noun. It essentially describes it, and yeah. So if we look at that, despite being cheap, versatile, and easy to produce, that's our modifier. there are two problems associated with commercial plastics. So if we take a look at A, right, are two problems cheap, versatile, and easy to produce? Because remember, that phrase before the dash is describing the noun in the sentence, the subject. And in A, that is two problems, not commercial plastics. So two problems are not cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. Commercial plastics are. The same thing applies to B. Two problems are associated with commercial plastics. In this sentence, the noun that's being modified or described by cheap, versatile, and easy to produce is two problems, once again. And that does not make sense because problems are not cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. Plastics are. And if we look at C, it may look right. It may look like commercial plastics is like the noun that's being modified in that sentence, as it comes before two associated problems. But if you look very closely, there's an apostrophe after commercial plastics. And that apostrophe basically means that it's something that's known as possessive, right? So the two associated problems have commercial plastics again, which does not make sense. So that sentence means that, once again, the problems are cheap, versatile, and easy to produce, which does not make sense. And if we look at D, commercial plastics have two associated problems. In that sentence, commercial plastics is our subject. It comes before two associated problems, and that's the noun being modified. And commercial plastics are cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. So that makes the most logical sense. Does anyone have any questions about that? I know my explanation may have been a bit lengthy and a bit confusing.
Yeah, could Ashwin, could you define what a modifier is? I've never heard that term.
So,
And
a
could you
modifier,
highlight where in this sentence the modifier is, or tell us where a modifier is?
yeah, sure. So basically, cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. I can't really highlight it here because this is actually a screenshot. If we go to the answer, we can highlight it. So essentially, these three words or this phrase that I've highlighted, and let me actually unhighlight the rest of these so you'll be able to see that more clearly. So cheap, versatile, and easy to produce are all things that are describing our noun. So that's what a modifier is. It describes the noun and better helps define the noun itself or the subject. But mainly in general, it's the noun. So cheap, versatile, and easy to produce are all modifiers for commercial plastics. So let me highlight that again, which is our noun. So that's what a modifier is. And that is very crucial for questions like these in order to be able to understand what makes the most logical sense. So it may look like two problems might come first and it makes make logical sense. They flow, right? But yeah. So let us move on. So new topic, graph structure. Sorry about that. Let me just change that real quick. So
Ashwin,
graph structure.
could you go back to that previous one for 1 second? Why can't,
Sure.
okay, you said that cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. You said that that's a modifier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so why can't C be the answer in that case? Because it says commercial plastics, and I think commercial plastics are cheap, versatile, and easy to produce. Why can't C be the answer? I don't understand.
C cannot be the answer due to the fact there is an apostrophe after commercial plastics, which
What does the
makes it
apostrophe mean?
possessive.
Because commercial plastics is a noun, in my opinion. What does the apostrophe mean?
The apostrophe basically means that the I guess you could say the commercial plastics are not really kind of like owned by the not really owned. I guess you could say owned by the two associated problems. There isn't really like there's probably a more proper way to define that. I can bring that back later if anyone has any questions.
Possessive. Yep. Yeah, the
Yeah.
two associated problems are possessive, are being possessed by commercial plastics. So the actual subject would be two
is
associated problems,
two
not
concepts.
commercial plastics.